Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing this wonderful Sunday night? And it's a Sunday night where we don't have to go to work. At least I don't have to go to work tomorrow. So I'm happy about that. Have another day. There will be a Mondays with Max tomorrow night. And at least through the month of June, I will do Sundays and Mondays. And then make a decision as to if I'm going to continue doing both nights, or if I'm going to choose one night over the other, probably based upon if there's one that's significantly better than the other. Anyway, I'll make a decision. But for right now, through the month of June, I will be doing Sundays and Mondays. And the reason why, my boss wanted to move me earlier in the shift. What I didn't know at the time was that my counterpart was leaving the company, and therefore he was asking if I could pick up the earlier shift. Doesn't want me to come in as early as the other guy. He kind of wants me to split both shifts, but I will definitely be home in time to do a Monday night stream. Should still be 8 o'clock Central Time, but possibly occasionally it might be a little bit later, but probably not. I should still be able to do it at that time. But obviously tomorrow, no problem. I will do it at the normal 8 o'clock on Mondays. With that out of the way, let's see. Tonight and tomorrow will be tough with a lot of people at BTC Vegas. Oh, I'm sure yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And I've been finding, actually, believe it or not, that a lot of people have not been watching it live, but have been watching the replays. I never watch live replays, but people have been watching my live replays. And so that's pretty cool. Not like 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, but the week right afterwards. I do get, especially the day afterwards, I get just as many people who are watching it not live than are watching it live. In fact, more people watch it not live. So anyway, and they watch a lot of it because the actual amount of time that they're watching it is actually a significant amount of the live stream, usually somewhere in the range of 20 to 25 minutes, which I'm pretty happy with. So anyway, but before we go any further, let me see who is here. We have Son of a Rabbit, Lesta Dog C57, Frogman, Dom G, Automatic Beats, Integra Guy 04, Black Hat Team, the infamous Hobbyist Miner. Sorry, the Hobbyist Miner. Oh, wait a minute. He's not from Ohio. He's from Pennsylvania. So I guess I don't have to say it's the Hobbyist Miner. If anybody understood that Ohio State reference. So why does Max on the thumbnail look like Truman from the Truman Show movie? Because that's what ChatGPT thinks I look like, evidently. I've never had anybody tell me I look like Drew Carey. So I don't know. But I see what you're saying. Means LOL, totally does. Crypto Crag is 8th tonight. Good evening. Let's see. There are no days off, Max. Now, there haven't been any days off. You're right. You're right. There aren't any days off. I have to admit, today it wasn't a day off. I actually had to do some work today. I had to figure something out for work because it was something that my counterpart usually did. So I didn't realize I'd gotten a login. I got a login, so then I had to figure out how to work it. So anyway, I had to do some work today. But I've been doing a lot of research for content and been recording some content. I just haven't edited the videos. Right now, I have a video which may turn into 2 videos. I have a video where I am creating a backup NAS that will eventually go off site. But before I take it off site, I just want to set up a basic backup so it'll have all the files backed up. And then once it get off site, I'll integrate Tailscale into it. But for right now, I just need to get that done. So I'm at the point where I need to install Duplicati and all of that, but I haven't figured that out yet. So I still have to do that. Space Invader 1 is a great Unraid source, so I'm going to be watching one of his videos to figure that out. Yeah, PUBG. Yeah. I had 4 kills last night. We only played once. And I had 4 kills. Of course, I had to be saved like 3 times. I was killed 3 times, but I was revived. But it was worth it for my team, which ended up winning. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right. Back to welcoming everybody. Todd Tebow. And I guess that was the only other person I had to say. But I appreciate you guys all being here. 20 guys here, but hey, you guys will want to hear this. Especially you hobbyists. I happened to just look over as I was going on YouTube to look up. Actually, I was looking up some other YouTubers that aren't in 1,000 subscribers. We'll hopefully be doing a sub bomb for these guys because they both have great content. But I'll get into that later. Anyway, as I was looking at that, I saw your video on your power update. So I'm going to give my power update tonight because I did a lot of analysis and I feel like I'm totally hacking the system by doing what I'm doing. But I have verified and re-verified my answers and it's going to be kind of nuts. Everybody else's power is going to be going up. Mine will be staying the same or going down a little bit, most likely with the changes I'm making. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. Hack the planet. You're just saying that, hobbyist. So anyway, let's take a look at the markets first. They seem to be picking up a little bit towards the end, but can Trump just keep his mouth shut, please? You want to do tariffs? Fine. Just do it quietly. Shut up. That's just my 2 cents. Although, hey, I don't mind so much. I ended up selling at the top, selling a bunch at the top, and I bought back in when it dipped a little bit, but then it dipped a little bit more and came back up. So I'm about even on most of my stuff. Some of the stuff I'm a little bit down, but it's fine. All right. Coin market cap. That's what I'm looking for. All righty. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I am logged in. So watch list. It always looks much different than my phone. All right. So I do have my watch list. Okay. So we will look at this first though. All right, let me switch over. Okay. So Bitcoin, oh yeah, it's up over 109 again. Sweet. There we go. There we go. So yeah, if you look at just the past 7 days, it's still up 4%. Nothing to complain about. Bitcoin's up 5.5%. No worries there. Let's see what else we got. Solana's up 5.62%. Not bad. That's about where I had sold out in my trading amount of Solana. And let's see. Cardano is up. I mean, everything pretty much is up. Hyperliquid. What is this Hyperliquid? This thing came out of nowhere. I'm guessing it's a meme coin, but I don't even know. Let me see what this says. I just saw it kind of start popping up. Does it say what it is? What are you? Let's see. What are people saying about Hype? What is the latest news on Hype? Let's click on that. Hyperliquid faces mixed developments, bullish momentum. I just want to know what you are. Its Twitter account was hacked, but blockchain unaffected. Hype rose 6% post incident. All right, let me do a refresh, and I want to see if it. I mean, obviously people are saying, oh, there's somewhat of a bullish. Hyperliquid trader James Wynn liquidated his entire 1.2 billion BTC long position. Let's see. They're saying Hyperliquid's native token is showing a breakout pattern similar to Solana's 2021 rally, with analysts predicting a 240% gain by July. Sure. I'm sure it looks like it's a setup for that. I'm not buying it. Let's look at news. Oh, about. Here we go. Hyperliquid represents a cutting-edge blockchain platform, so it's not a meme coin, specifically designed to enhance the efficiency and performance of decentralized finance, DeFi, applications. At its core, Hyperliquid introduces a novel Layer 1 blockchain that is meticulously engineered from the ground. This is definitely written by their team. I'm going to scan through this real quick. One of the standout features of Hyperliquid is its focus on decentralized perpetual exchange services. This platform facilitates perpetual futures trading directly on its native L1 blockchain, setting itself apart by eliminating gas fees for transactions. This approach not only reduces the cost barrier for participants, but also significantly enhances transaction speed and efficiency. Well, what layer 1 blockchain that's new doesn't say that? It's just kind of, it's in the script. You have to say that. If you don't say that, you're a non-starter. Could be true, might not be true. Who knows? Let's see. Notably, Hyperliquid is a self-funded initiative, emphasizing its independence and dedication to its vision without the influence of external capital. This autonomy allows for a focused development process tailored to the needs and expectations of the DeFi community. So if DeFi ever comes back, maybe. All right, let me check with the chat to see what you guys. By the way, don't forget to tag me. Let's see here. Hobbyist says, I watch live streams a little bit at a time over a few days while doing dishes, driving, or working on miners. I want your full attention, Mr. Hobbyist, Mr. Miner. Sorry. Let's see. All right, I went back too far. EU announced they want to address it ASAP. Of course they do. Trying to minimize the damage that he says. Pennies are dead. You can't say 2 cents anymore. Market is green again. The world can rest. Yes, the world that is green again. But again, it's still, if you look like the past 3 days, it's still down from its highs, which is fine. I mean, we expect that you hit highs, you get resistance, you're going to drop back down. The real question is, are we going to drop all the way down to the 73 to 69 level, similar to the last bull run? One thing I do want to look up at some point, I'm not even sure how to look it up, but I'll find it, is I want to look to see what the M2 money supply did during the last bull market, as well as what did the Bitcoin dominance do during the last bull run. So if M2 dipped when Bitcoin went down, then I'd be like, okay, that coincides. There's like a 90-day lag, 100-day lag from M2 starting to go down to where you'll start to see Bitcoin follow. So I'm kind of curious on that. Right now, I think M2 is still increasing. The world money supply is still increasing. So I still think we're in good shape. But again, even as it stops, there's still going to be a 100-day lag. So Hype is a newer L1. Thanks, Retro Mike. Good evening, Yusuf Puts. Let's see. What the hell is Hyperliquid? Yeah, that's what I said. I'm sure it is a staked coin, not a proof of work. Proof of stake. All set. Good to see you. All right, let's see. No more like Hyperpole, LOL. Yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from that. Retro Mike says, it's like Sol, but it actually works. Oh, so Retro Mike, you actually like Hyperliquid? You think it's a good project? Because we will all follow your advice. So just know, yours is financial advice. Just be on the record if you say something. RMT, all the hey Anon girls love Hyperliquid. I don't even know. That was like Greek to me. Sorry. I guess I'm not hip on the lingo, maybe. Either that or there were some typos. That's not addressed to me, so I don't even know what that means. So I'm sure Retro Mike probably does. Due to AITA and prompts, token economics suck. I guess you're talking about Hyperliquid. Frogman, I'll believe it when I have the tariff bill in hand. They know how to pump it. Yeah, evidently. Definitely know how to pump it. Exactly, Bleach. That's you gotta take a step back and look at the broader picture. Definitely need to look at, yes, we've come down from the highs, but we're still doing well. All right, let's see. I get all my DeFi advice from Retro Mike Tech. Me too. I no longer give recommendations on anything at any level. Well, I think you just did. So, just saying. Look up Hey Anon X Hyperliquid. I'll look it up later. Now you made me worry about it. RMT. Okay. Alrighty. All right. Now that we've been completely distracted by a Hyperliquid, there was actually, I tuned into the very beginning of Rabbit's stream, but I was distracted by some other things that were going on. So I didn't get a chance to hear what he had to say about XRP, but XRP has had a very nice run. About as nice as Hyperliquid, although Hyperliquid for the week is 48%. XRP's not up that much. But let's see. Monero up 22% this week, but like I said, up 60 to 80% for the month. That is not bad. Litecoin is down for the week. I did reinvest a little bit back into Litecoin. I sold some at about 102 and then bought back in the 96 range. But it's on the high 96. So I'm just down like less than 1% on that. And waiting for a see if Polkadot comes back down under 4, and I'll buy back in there. Let's see. What else do we got? Aave up 21%. Nice. But I mean, everything, it's nice seeing everything green. Well, not Caspa, unfortunately. Caspa is not green. There's another one. I keep hearing about it, Ondo. But I know nothing about that. I really need to investigate that. Let's see. Polygon's up a little bit. All right, now that I've gotten to, and then there's the other one. This is kind of like my favorite, FET, Artificial Super Intelligence Alliance, up 15% for the week. But this thing has been so up and down. It's like I get notifications at any time something that I own goes up or down 5%. And it's like I'll look down at my phone. It'll be like 15 to 20 notifications over the last 24 hours. And I'll look and I'll be like 12 hours ago is all these that were down. And then you look at the more recent ones and it's like they're all back up 5%. So, yeah. Polygon CEO is stepping down. Really? Well, that's unfortunate. Or maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. It's a fucking goat. Goat. Oh, let me show you this. Oh, that's not it. There it is. I've loaded it. I haven't done the initial backup yet though. But I have set it up. It's done its parity check. I might add another 5 terabyte 2.5-inch drive. So it'll be 15 terabytes instead of just 10. So anyway, but that'll be easy to add because it's Unraid. That's the beauty of Unraid. The drives don't have to match. Performance isn't as good, but the drives don't have to match. But when you're doing an offsite backup, the internet speed is going to be, that's going to be the limiting factor, not the drive or the performance of the system. But anyway, but yeah, I built that this weekend. Sorry, I'll go back to the markets in a second, but since Goat was here, the third CEO switchover in 5 years. Wow. All right, I'll get back to the markets in a second, guys. So I took one of my HP small form factor PCs and did a little bit of research and found out that I could fit 2 drives in there minimum. And so bought 2 10 terabyte hard drives, but I didn't even open up the system yet to see what it even looked like, if I had the right cables or anything. And lo and behold, it was actually pretty cool. The only thing that I wish they had was they had 4 screws in there to mount one of the drives, but they didn't have any of those screws to mount the other drive. So I ended up doing 2 and 2 and like just did them diagonal from one another, and it seemed to work. They're in there pretty good. The one is in there really good because that one really only needs 2. It needs one that's like snaps into place, which holds it from, if it's laying flat, from horizontally moving, and then the other one holds it vertically. So that worked out really, really well. That one's in there nice and solid. The other one is kind of resting on top. It's in there and it can move around. Like if you really push on it, you can move. It can move around, but I think it's going to be fine with the top on it. So I did that install. Basically, the 250 gig drive that was in there, I'm using that as a cache drive, and at least for now, I might take that one out. I probably will do this. Put a 5 terabyte spinning disk drive in there because I only have room for a 2.5 inch drive in that spot, and then put in one of these. Sorry, that was the heat sink. But put one of these in there. I'm just dropping everything that I had on there. Let me grab those real quick before I lose them. And just put an NVMe drive in there as the cache drive, and then I'll have a little bit more working space on there. Right now I have like 7.9 terabytes to back up, and with how much I am like recording, including these live streams, it's gonna fill up pretty quick. So and I'm really curious when I go to do the first backup how much compression I'm going to get out of it, because when I do back it up, it will be encoded and compressed. So we'll see how much space I save doing that. All right, let me get back to the chat real quick. Let's see. Oscar from Octoserver saying they will open up USA shop next 3 months. Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I've been really thinking about getting another one. Because the multi-GPU units on VAST do really well. Yeah, definitely debating on that. And once you add up like putting that many GPUs on all individual computers, it's the same amount. You know, you got to buy so many more power supplies, and yeah, it just. All right. Good evening, Mr. Bacon, Eggs, and Hash. Geek of all trades. That's what duct tape and double-sided tape are for. True. It's in there good enough. It's in there good. They lowered prices by $250. Cool. Very cool. You can get the HP screw kits on Amazon. They are about $10 for a set of 8 screws with rubber spacers. So that's the other thing. It didn't have the spacers. It just had the screws themselves. And it was cool because it was actually on the bracket. I was like, that's cool. It included the screws. Very cool. But you know what? I will do that. I will fix that. I might as well, especially I'm sure that's pretty darn cheap. So thank you. I'm going to write that down. I should be paying you guys for my live streams. Let's see. Got it. Alrighty. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just missed the days of ESXi on SD cards. LOL. Compact flash. God, what was the... What I remember zip drives. Those were cool. I still have that computer somewhere in this house with a zip drive. I don't have any media for it, I don't think, unless there's one still in it, which is possible. But yeah, zip drives. Look it up if you don't know about them. Yeah, they were about, Frogman, they were about the same time. I'm sure it depended on who you spoke with. I don't know which ones were better. I mean, that was kind of like it certainly doesn't devolve to the iPhone versus Android religious argument, but back in the day, zip drives versus jazz drives, yeah, there was a little bit of loyalty to one versus the other. Hobbyist Miner, I keep all the raw footage and final edited videos from every video I have done, all on my QNAP NAS. I have everything labeled so I can easily search my content for B-roll footage, broll footage, as it looks like there. I know that's what they say to do. I'd probably have an easier time looking for it on YouTube and then just downloading it. But yeah. Jazz had higher capacity. True. I got the zip drive. For the record, I had the zip drive, I think, before Jazz came out, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Geek of all trades. Good point. How often do you really pull that old footage? Honestly. All the time, really. Anybody in here try mining on 12 volt instead of 120 volt PSU? I have not. Interesting. You do the same thing. Yes, I just have not. I have not done that. It's not cheaper. It's definitely not cheaper. It's cheaper for about a year, and then when you have to keep paying for it and paying for more and more and more, it ain't cheaper anymore. I looked into it, so you're not wrong for a while, but yeah. Plus, what fun is that? I'm a hardware guy. I like to tinker with stuff and make things work, and so this will just be content. It will actually be content. I have recorded it. I actually have 2 recordings right now that I have to edit. I recorded creating the installation for the 5060 Ti's Vast rig, because that's not like, there's a couple of things that are kind of gotchas when you're doing it, especially if you're upgrading from an older system. So you have to make sure of a couple of different things. But again, that'll be coming out. Just have to, this weekend for me is all about recording. And then during the week, I don't have any problem finding time to actually edit. It's the recording that I have trouble with during the week. You know, I get home from work, I'm tired. I don't want to talk to a camera when I get home from work. Talking to a camera on the weekends, no problem. Especially when I get a nice little monster drink here too. That doesn't hurt. Oh, okay. So you don't back up all the footage. You just back up the final videos. Got it. That makes more sense. I'm like, man, if you backed up everything, damn, that would be a lot. All right. Anyway, so it's created. I have 2 drives that you can see over here on the right. And there's the cache drive on the right, but I'll eventually get a disk 2 that will also be on there. Probably just order that here very shortly. But anyway, like I said, once I get this thing going, I'm really curious to see like how much how much savings I get. So we'll see. We shall see. Alrighty, we now got 29 people here, so appreciate you guys all showing up. Caw Valley Crypto is here. Good to see you. All right, let me go back to the markets now. That I, squirrel. Kind of just what I do. All right, let me go back up to the top. Let me go to the coins I like to look at on my watch list. So we got Dogecoin pretty flat. But hey, not down for the week, so that's not a bad thing. Like I said, Litecoin down for the week. Don't like that. Don't like that. Same thing with Caspa. All right, now let's go down. Algorand up a little bit. Arbitrum up 5%. Jupiter, which I still hold, not a lot of, but it's up 12.87% for the week. It was up more. It was up over 60 cents, I believe. Optimism up almost 7.5%. Helium up almost 7%. But I know that Hive Mapper is down and Demo is down, which is a bummer. Although not down as much as it was. It's up 4% now for the day. It was down at 6.3 cents. And Flux came up. That was down below 26 cents earlier today. Now it's up over 3.4%. So, but down 8% for the week. I bought right around here. Figuring I'd buy the dip. So we'll see what happens with that. I bought literally 1,000 Flux, guys. So it's nothing to write home about. It's $270, $280. Speaking of $200, so I wanted to bring this up. I brought this up last week, but the promotion just went up. So this, I've talked to you guys before that anytime I bring up an affiliate code is because it's something that I use and it's something that I believe in. This is something that they're offering to everybody who has a Kraken account. So if you got a Kraken account, look this up. You have this. Refer to your friends. $75 to your friend, and you get $75. They get $75, and all they have to do is deposit $200 and make a trade for $200, and they get $75 for free. Pretty cool. But if you don't have a friend that has Kraken, it'd be great if you could scan my code or the link I have in the description and sign up and make your first trade on Kraken and get $75 for doing it. I'm actually going to do my wife's. I'm going to open up one for her. I meant to do that earlier today, but I was dozing on and off earlier today. So I'll probably end up doing that tomorrow. But yeah, check it out. It was $50. It's now $75. From my understanding, it's going to be there for, I got this a couple days ago. So it's probably through Friday, maybe Thursday, could be Saturday. But why wait? Why wait? Check it out. Anyway, I really like Kraken. I like what they do. They work with Kit Boga in trying to really flush out hackers. I just really like what they stand for as a company. They don't try to do too much. They do what they do. It reminds me, the reason why I picked them was they reminded me of Bittrex. Bittrex was, this is what we do. We are an exchange. That's what we do. And they have, proof of, basically proof that they have the coin. Anyway, there's a word for it and I'm losing it right now. But anyway, if you're looking for an exchange, a reliable exchange, or just looking to make $75, and of course, you'll help out the channel in the process. So, alrighty. Proof of reserves. Thank you. Appreciate that. Retro Mike says, the hobbyist miner QNAPs are good. I also like Asus Store, but I like Synology for their hardware encryption and hardware decoders. Well worth it, especially if you use it to compress files. Hobbyist miner, buy now. Was I really that hyped up? I wasn't Billy Mays. That'd be a compliment if I was. but didn't feel like that. Gigabit trades, 10 gigabit Ethernet dreams, 1 gigabit Ethernet budget. That's true, but you need to get the hookup with your suppliers, man. See if they can hook you up with some 10 gig equipment. Yeah, I actually could do some, like for instance, I could do some 10 gig because the switch I have in the basement has 4 SFP plus ports. So one of them is taken up by the from the router, but I could put I actually have 2 modules in there, but they're optical modules. So if I got optical cables and then put an SFP plus port in to both my NAS and my backup NAS, then I'd have 10 gig Ethernet. The other thing I've been really thinking about doing is getting 10 gig. I have a 10 gig card in my Octo server, but I haven't populated the SFP plus port in it. So, and I think it's actually 2, but I could actually put that in there, which would get me 10 gig up to here, but I'd still only have 2.5 gig going out to the internet. So it would help. Actually, it's 2.1 gig going out to the internet, and it's still only 350 up. 2.1 down, 350 up. Anyway, just happened to see that there. The Max play GTA at night, get paid in KRC 20. I don't like role play. I just want to play. I don't want to act. I did it before, and to me it just wasn't fun. The other part of it is, and those people that know me, I've said this before, I'm not good with playing games that don't have an end, because I'll just keep playing. And that is one of those things where there isn't, I mean, I guess there kind of is, because you have the gang wars. So when the gang wars stop, you kind of have an end, and then you're like, oh yeah, all right, I got to go, see you later type of thing. So I guess there kind of is, but nah, not for me. Not for me. Yes, Retro Mike, that can be completely taken out of context. Although, thank God I didn't say the opposite, because then that'd be really taken out of context. All right. Okay, bet on this screen. Well, I'm sure if anybody who wanted to get that QR code, I'm sure has it by now. All right, let's go back to the markets one last time. See, Lithium is up almost 15% this week, while being down 5% today, but doing pretty good. Not bad. Dynex up almost 20% this week. That's not bad. Good old Presearch down 8.5%. Come on. Zephyr, wow, up 30%. Ocean Protocol up 14%. Neoxa, big surprise, down 4.36%. Raptorium up 1.22. Yeah. Okay. All right. Enough on the markets. Hopefully we will continue to see Bitcoin go up. I mean, we're not in altcoin season, guys. We'll see altcoins go up with Bitcoin, but it's going to be a while, I think, before we start seeing altcoin season. Bitcoin's got quite a bit to run. About 40% would be my guess. But do keep an eye on that M2 supply and see when it starts to go down. Maybe next week, that's what I'll do next week. How do you find, or where do you find M2 global N2? I think it's on trade, that trading website. I think it's one of the selections you can do, but I will double check that later. Maybe at the very end, I might do something with that, see if I can find it. All right. So I've talked about the NAS. So yeah, I said that I installed two rigs of two 5060 Ti's. And I put the first one in, and it was rented, and it was consistently rented. I'm like, I'm getting another one. And since I installed the second one, They both haven't been rented, and the demand on it is plummeted. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see where we're at. Let's see if we have anything rented on them now. I'm guessing not. Double checking. Nope. So right now I have everything rented except my two 5060 Ti rigs and my two non-verified 3090s. And I'm really starting to think maybe I might sell 2 out of my 3 3090s. Kind of debating and replacing them with something else, and possibly even getting rid of some of my T7810s. But haven't decided any of that yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the 5060 Ti's. Really, 5060 Ti's are so new that a lot of people don't even know that they're there. So I think it's a little too early to make a declaration of, 5060 Ti is not doing well, but we'll see. We'll see. Let me see if the demand changed at all on the 5060 Ti's. I know I'm checking a different screen, but it'll be really quick. It went back up a little bit. So right now there are 46 that are verified, and only 14 of them, 1/3 approximately, a little bit less than 1/3, are rented. So that's not great. That's not great at all. But what I do like is for almost the same power that you get on a 3060. 3060s are 170 watts. 5060 Ti's are 180 watts. Instead of making 4 to 5 cents that you're making with actually in salad, you're making about 5 cents. Yeah, about 5 cents. On this, the lowest price is 9 cents. So again, making a bit more and having more profitability. You're like, oh, but you're only making like, not even double, but yet you're putting all the money into it. Yes, but your profitability is going up more than that, because all of that increase is going towards profit, and your power is about the same. So, and speaking of that salad, one of the things I did with salad this week is I had a 3060 Ti in a T7810 and saw that the 3060s were much more in demand. So I switched it out. Now, in hindsight, it would have been a good idea to look to see if it was actually rented when I went to go change it out. And as I was taking it out, I'm like, damn, this thing's hot. I'm like, damn it, I should have checked to see if it was rented. Well, you know what? Too late. I put the other one in, and it picked up a job right away. It just took quite a long time to actually download it. But once it did, it was making more than the 3060 Ti. So in the long run, and let's see, actually, is it still rented? I haven't looked for at least a few hours. Let's see, is it still rented? It is still rented. Sweet. So right now it's making about 5.6 cents. 5.5 to 5.6 cents an hour. So doing pretty well. $1.33 a day. I mean, and you're not going to get rich on it, but certainly is profitable. And then the amount of power that salad uses is pretty low. But at this rate, I'll be able to cash out in a little bit less than 2 weeks. Something like that. Here, let me just bring this up here, because I am going to do one other thing here. So this is basically what I switched out. Now it was a 3060. This is where it was at when I took it out. So it was at like 4.9. And then I took it out, and you can see it took between switching it out and getting it back up and running, because initially it didn't like things. When you change out the GPU on salad, generally you need to update your driver and reinstall salad, because it just like, I don't know what this thing is. It wasn't what was here before. What did you just do to me? And it doesn't just figure it out, unfortunately. So I had to do that. So it took me a little bit of time to get that figured out. Yeah, I mean, the 12 gig should be better, but for whatever reason, for a while, the 3060s were doing absolute crap on Salad, and 3060 Ti's were doing better. They were just more rented than 3060s. It was odd. So I'm like, all right, take my 3060s and go put them on Vast and see what happens. Now, here's the good thing. With all those 3060s that I had on there and I had them on there long enough, they all got verified. So I had 3 additional rigs that were verified with 3060s in them. So now if I go to move anything or I go to start another rig or whatever, I can reuse those machine IDs. One thing I did find out this week, and for those people that are on Vast, is if you don't use a machine ID for a while, Vast removes it. You will lose. It's basically a use it or lose it. If you do not use a machine ID for some period of time, Vast every so often purges unused machine IDs. So you can't just farm and hold machine IDs. That was a bummer. I thought you could, but you can't. So, is what it is. Permission denied. Story of my career. I've got 99 problems. All of them are DNS. Wow, I totally missed that. Swamp 7, welcome. Yeah, I haven't checked chat in a little while here. Let's see. 100 gigabyte is cheaper than 10 gigabyte now? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, clients are still 1 gigabyte. Yeah, most of my stuff's 1 gig. My computer has 2.5 gig. So, and I'm hooked up 2.5 gig to the router. So I get greater than 1 gig speed to my computer. All right, let's see. All data centers are fire sale 100 gig equipment. Super cheap right now. Way cheaper than 2.5 gig. Plus, you can split 100 gig into 4 25 gigabyte or 4 10 gigabyte with a $30 cable. Just watch Cryptos Are Us. That's Yusuf. Well, Swamp 7, if you'd like to share some links or where to go to find that equipment, that would be helpful. Is this just all on eBay? Let's see. I'm George. Where all George? I'm not following that, but that's okay. 3090s are on fire right now. You mean on Salad? You got tons of 3060s with 12 gig mem. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the 3070s are on AI type of things or rentals. Don't do very well. If I had solar, I would rent out my compute. Just can't afford the electric. Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. What's the time frame? Time frame for what? Oh, got it. Yeah, George's Cryptos Are Us. Got it. I wasn't following that, but once you put the two together, I'm like, oh, that's right. Yeah, that is George. All right. So let's go into a little bit about the power. So I'm going to go to full screen for a little bit, and then I'll go into the spreadsheet. Okay. So I have been on hourly power for, I can't even remember. It is a lot of years. It's probably not quite 10, but it's somewhere between 8 and 10 years. I have never had a year that I didn't save a considerable amount of money because I was on hourly pricing. Now, for whatever reason, and I don't understand why, it's not available everywhere, but I do know it is available in some places around the country. You just have to see if the part of the country has it. In Illinois, both ComEd and Ameren both have their own hourly pricing program. And I know like Crypto Shaped, he was on it. He saved a ton of money on it as well. If you think about it this way, it's always cheaper to self-insure yourself. You're like, what does insurance have to do with it? Well, it has everything to do with it, because that is what electric companies are being asked to do, to guarantee that I can supply power at a standard rate. Well, I have to make sure as the power provider that I provide a standard rate where I can't lose. That's what insurance companies do. They pay me this amount of money. That way I can be solvent and pay out anybody that has claims. In this particular case, they're saying, the electric company is saying, pay me enough money for per kilowatt hour that you consume, that when I buy it on the open market, that I can't lose. So what does that partially have to do with? That partially has to do with them going out to bid for a certain amount of power. But if you are on hourly, you are subject to the whims of the market. So if the cost of electricity for a certain period of time goes sky high, yeah, then you're going to pay. But if you're using electricity like I do, like a lot of miners do, a lot of people are selling compute do, their electric is a steady flow, pretty much constant throughout the day. Well, if that's the case, then you're using electricity during the lower demand periods, and your cost for electricity during those times is going to override the periods of time that might be slightly higher. So what I have found over the last year, and actually even the last 6 months prior to that, if I looked at the last 18 months, it was even more. But I think that's because the price of electricity was going up, and the standard rate wasn't going up along with it as fast. Now ComEd is raising the standard rate, which I think will be a benefit, even a bigger benefit to hourly, because again, hourly isn't subjected as much to the bids that went out. We can talk a little bit about the bidding process, but one of the reasons why this bidding process was so much higher was because the previous year, not last summer, but the summer, the weather season before that, a lot of the peaker plants that were serviced by natural gas were damaged and could not supply power during the times where they were needed. So the PJM, when they went out to do the bid, which by the way, PJM is the Regional Electric Management Company or something. Anyway, they're the ones who manage the prices for electric. And they made the rules that says, no, you can't include any of the power that you can provide via these peaker plants. So it's only going to be on everything else, which means, well, you don't have as much supply, but you have as much demand, or in fact, even a little bit more going forward with a lot of changes with AI. Well, that supply and demand, that means just higher prices. There's going to be higher bid prices. It has to be. That's just economics. So that was a part of the reason too. So that's a reason why, at least in our area, we're only going to see about 2.5 cents maximum. And there's a couple other things that go along with it in the ComEd area. Ameren probably will see a little bit higher. But again, MISO is a different regional company than PJM. So they have their own rules and their bids were at different times. So I'm not sure exactly how much higher Ameren's going to be going forward. Let me see if I've got any questions, and then I'm going to get into the spreadsheet. See you later, Geek, if you're still here. Oh, that's right. He's going to Vegas. Let's see. Let's do variable rate 8 cents nights and weekends, off peak 14 cents, and high peak 36 cents. So that's what they call time of use variable rate. So you know exactly what the rate is going to be. It's a standard rate. It just changes throughout the day. What I'm talking about is the rate changes with whatever the market price is. That's the hourly rate. So time of use can definitely be very helpful, especially when it comes to mining. You just have to make sure that when the utility sets the rules, that they don't be like, well, you abused the rules. No, I followed the rules. And then they say, well, too bad, we're going to overcharge you anyway, which is what happened at King, which sucked. I don't know if you guys remember that story, but yeah, he would turn off an hour before and turn back on an hour after the time of use period that was going to be super high. But because his overall use was like way high over all those other periods, they're like, well, that wasn't what we intended. Well, that is what you wrote. Those were the rules. But I digress. All right, let me get through the rest of these and then I'll bring up the spreadsheet. I see, again, I don't know like what specifically happened in the, as far as rates going up in Ameren. I just know they've been going up all across the country, and including ComEd, which hadn't really seen a significant rate increase for a while. I'm looking forward to I'm curious to see my June statement, because June is when the rates are supposed to go up. I sound like a Bond, James Bond. Da-da, doom, da-da, doom, da-da, da-da-da-da. All right, let's see here. I need more lipo. I can't last all night. What? Why not just use hosting? You can't. Where are you going to host rental, GPU rental? Where are you going to host that? Yeah. I'm not aware of anybody that is doing GPU rental, and I like having my stuff here. I really do. And it allows me to make changes, and when the demand changes, I can change out some GPUs. I like having the stuff close. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, you just tweeted about PJM? Interesting. Crypto Crab's on PGM as well. Toxic Miner, welcome. Took a muscle relaxer and could no longer keep my eyes open. Good night, everybody. Good night, Toxic Miner. Went up 15%. Ours went up more than that. It went up from like 6.8 up to like 10. But just the supply side. The transmission side went up a little bit, but that happened in January, so that's already baked in. Oh, host with Panda. Yeah, he does not want to be a person that hosts. Plus, I'm needy. Oh, batteries. Oh, I get it. LFPO, you mean? LiPo? Got it. I can't mine all night. My batteries go dead. All right, so let me bring up the spreadsheet. We do that. And so I found let me go over here. There we go. I know that's a lot of numbers. We're going to focus on this stuff over here first. Yeah, there we go. Oh, you know what I need to do? Well, we'll see a few of the numbers here, and then I'll back it back out again. So there was a link where I could get all of the rates for ComEd for every single month. Now, you think it's a standard fixed rate. Not exactly. It kind of is. It used to be much more fixed than it is now. There are two factors that come into play right now. PEA, which is price something adjustment, power something adjustment. Anyway, that used to have a maximum plus 0.5 cents and negative 0.5 cents. Now it has no limit. It has no limit. So if you look at the last month, the residential rate was basically a little over 6.5, but the PEA was almost 2 cents, which brought it up to like 8.5. But in ComEd area, we have this carbon-free energy adjustment thanks or not thanks, depending on how you look at it, thanks to our Illinois State Congress. When they passed a bill about energy, they put in this like little guarantee that we will make sure, in order to keep our nuclear power plants running, we will make sure that they get paid a minimum amount for their power, regardless of what the market price is. So when your cost of power is lower, meaning hourly, the market price, your cost, or you'll have this carbon-free energy adjustment that will go higher, which is making sure you're able to pay that extra amount to the nuclear power plants. Now, when the rates go up, they also built in, they're like, oh, no. You do not get to take advantage of one side and not have to, and not suffer the consequences on the other side. No, this means that you will get paid this amount, this fixed amount, which means when the price of power goes up, we then will pay you less than the market rate. And that's where the carbon-free energy adjustment turns negative. So it's kind of a complicated bill, but what I have done here is, so with B through E, I have basically taken the residential rate, the standard residential rate, the PEA for the fixed residential rate, and the carbon-free energy adjustment, which is the same for both, and come up with the effective rate. Okay. So you can see it varies anywhere from, like last October, it was 5.933 to 7.995. So pretty varying for a supposed fixed rate. But then what I have done on all these others is I have filled in every single bill for the last 18 months. Well, 17 months actually, because I don't think I think I went back to January of last year. And basically figured out like what my savings was per month. So that's actually going a little too fast. That's why I even put that in here, because I couldn't remember. Purchased electricity adjustment. And I can't spell. I'm going to fix that. Electricity. There we go. Now it's spelled correctly. Basically, this is the amount of power that I'm using each of these months. Here. Oh, go away. I don't want to show the side panel. I just want to scroll. So how much power I used, what the cost of the power was at the rate at that time. Then there's a transmission charge that goes along with it. And then there is, what is this one? Miscellaneous procurement. But basically all three of those are what go into the equivalent of comparing it to the standard rate. Now, there's also, so basically that comes up with what the hourly rate, the effective hourly rate is. So like my hourly rate was 3.91 cents per kilowatt hour, not including transmission. So that was just for last month. Now, the problem is the PEA on hourly was also really high last month. My charge was $133.15, or an extra $2.66 per hour, per kilowatt hour. So bringing my total, my effective hourly rate to 6.57. And that's compared, basically it's still about 2 cents less than 2 cents less than the standard rate. And then the capacity charge I also have to figure in, because I get charged a separate capacity charge. So the capacity charge is taking your 5 how much power you use during the 5 highest demand periods, basically during the previous summer. And then the following June, it resets to whatever they found. Now, because I have solar, that generally corresponds to a period of time where solar's helping offset that. So I'm able to keep a low capacity charge as a result of that. So that definitely has helped me there. But again, I factored that in. Oh my God, go away. There we go. And then I figured in a carbon energy as well. So anyway, so when we come back to here and we see this comparison, the effect, this is the hourly rate with the capacity charge and the carbon free energy adjustment, and then the effective rate. So there's my difference. So anywhere from, 0.3 was the worst, all the way up to 3.662 savings. So that one was over 57%. So when you average all of this out, I'm saving over $100 a month. So I've gone over this before, but here's the part. But wait, there's more. I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to. I have been looking into community solar. I have mentioned this. I did some research, talked to some people, got things written in documentation, double verified. When it comes to community solar, if you are on the hourly program, again, this is in the ComEd area, and I believe it's also in the Ameren area as well, in Illinois. If you are on the hourly program, you are credited at the standard rate. Now, assuming you're saving, let's say, 30% on this, that won't change because your charges won't change. What is going to change if you go on community solar is I'm going to pay 8 to 8.5 cents. 80 to 85 cents on the dollar for any subscription that I have to community solar. So let's say, and again, you have to be careful you don't oversubscribe because then you totally lose. It doesn't help you to oversubscribe. Then you just end up paying more. And then you could back it off at some point. But my goal is to be a little bit under where I think I'm going to be so I don't run into that. But let's say like right now my bills are around $500. Well, at $500, that means I could spend $400 at, well, I shouldn't say that because only about, let's just say $100. Because if you look at what my supply ends up coming out to is anywhere between 100 and 200 and something. And again, it really depends on, like in this particular case, I saved $92. You add all that up, I saved $92. So I don't know. Let's just say about $100. So I'll save another $20 per month by doing a solar subscription as well. And I mean, so $80, I'll have to figure out how much that is, but this is layered on top of the savings I already have. And that was what to me seemed kind of crazy. I was like, okay, I feel like I'm hacking the system here, but that's the way they said it was. I was like, okay. And I got it in writing from ComEd directly, from somebody at their hourly pricing program, and said, this is how it is currently set up. And I'm sure it's an unintended consequence and maybe changed in the future, but for right now it's working that way. So I'm going to take advantage of it. All right, let me go back. Hobbyist says, might be jumping ahead, curious on yearly 12-month average kilowatt hour you paid, as well as yearly uptime on your hardware due to turn off. Well, first of all, I don't turn off. And honestly, I think we only had one outage all year. And typically I had one period of time where I didn't have an outage for 2 years, like literally nothing. So I don't have to do any type of turn off or anything like that. And when the price goes up, I don't turn off. I leave it. So all of this I'm not going in and turning things off. If the price goes up to $1 a kilowatt hour, it's running. It's running because I know on the other side, I'll make it up. So could I turn off? Yeah, but it's going to hurt my reliability and will hurt my revenue a lot more. When you get these long-term jobs, they just sit there and they run and they run and they run, and it's just as passive income goes. I've got my 8 GPU rig that's making about 50. I'm going to give myself the kiss of death here, but it's making $50 a month. I did finally get a steady job on it after having to do the panel upgrade. My Octo server has been picked up off and on. Hopefully it's on a steady job now, but it's making about $35 a month. And those are my steady eddies. My single GPU rigs can tend to come off and on periodically. But right now my 5090 is making like 41 cents right now. A lot of it through storage, which was kind of surprising. But yeah. So no, I definitely do not want to turn off. It's worth it because again, you make it up in the evenings. And yes, the fall and the spring are great. The price of electricity typically during those periods of time are lower. The summer, sometimes because you get these big variations in temperatures. So you like the difference between being 68 degrees at night and being 50 degrees at night is huge. And if there is ever a forecast that misses significantly, or you have a big shift in temperatures, then you're going to get this negative spike in power prices. So that's what helps make up for it. I mean, it'll be like -7, -8 cents, where I'm not really paying anything for power at that point. Literally, the -8 cents is paying for my transmission as well. So that happens as well. So yeah. So what's my average kilowatt hour? Well, I would say it's around 12 cents, but I have not actually, I calculated on a per month basis. So I know it's varied from like 10 to 12 and a half. So probably 11 and a half or so, something like that, which is significantly higher than it was a year ago. But again, still significantly lower than the standard rate. So I hear what you're saying is that, okay, how do you plan? What is your rate? I'm trying to show actually here, you don't know what your rate is going to be next month. You can't plan with this type of standard, quote unquote, standard rate. You could, like I said, this last month, you ended up being at 7.9 instead of 6.5. You're a cent and a half higher. So yeah. Let's see. Interesting. I just got a response from EliPal. Give me 1 second here. I know all these things. I had asked specific questions. Oh, maybe there is a video. Huh, interesting. I'll get into that in a second, so I'll have to watch that video. Okay. I had been really trying to get an answer back from EliPal, but they were at Consensus Toronto, so they were kind of out of pocket. That's why I couldn't get an answer, which makes sense. It does make sense. But anyway, they sent me one of their X cards, which I've since put back in the box. I had some issues with it, so hopefully now that I look at these things, hopefully it'll answer my questions and I can actually finish that video as well. But anyway, going back to hobbyists. So hobbyists, I'll tell you what, I will, let me see, because I don't think in the spreadsheet I don't have any of the transmission in here. I mean, I could tell you what my supply rate is, but I always look at the all-in rate, and I haven't put any of that in here. I've only put the supply side in here because I was more focused on saving. But yeah, and I'm probably not going to make that change here because your supply side is the only thing you can do anything about. You can't do anything about transmission. Can't change who is actually providing you the power. You just hope that you have a legislation or some other organization that is fighting on the consumer's behalf to make sure that they're holding the utilities accountable. In Illinois, we have the Citizens Utility Board that honestly does a great job, does an absolutely great job of holding the utilities accountable. Even when our leader of our House of Representatives is prosecuted for being bribed by ComEd executives. Actually happened. Actually prosecuted. And there were convictions. So, yeah. That's what utilities do if they're not held accountable. So, thank God they were held accountable. Alrighty. Enough on that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just par for the course. I mean, if you're going to be in a position of power in Illinois, go big or go home, I guess. And if you're going to end up going to prison anyway. Anyway. Alrighty. Let's see. Yes, I am going to make a dedicated video on this. I just thought I wanted to go over it and wanted to make people aware of you need to look at your options. Don't just take, oh, my power prices are going up. I mean, Hobbyist has looked at other prices and he's found better deals. There are better deals that are available, sometimes with your existing utility, like in Illinois, and sometimes with an alternate provider. In Illinois, our third-party providers, I don't want to say they suck, because in other states they do very well, the same companies, but that's because I think CUB does a really good idea of really making sure that the rates are what they're supposed to be, the absolute minimum they're supposed to be in our state, and that's why third parties can't come in and make money in this state without charging a higher rate. So generally, and CUB tells people that, like, look, you can look at a third-party company, but in general, we found that third parties, except for community solar, third parties do not save people money. Community solar is where you want to be looking, and that's what we were pointing at. So I know community solar is available in a lot of places. So definitely check it out. I will be having some affiliate links associated with that as well, because I've talked with a couple different companies, one specifically that's given me a lot of great information, and they're 20% guaranteed off. So I'm going to be looking in the next week or so to get moving on that, and then I can share the results of going there as well. Hobbyist Miner says, I have 15 load letters out to 15 different suppliers seeking custom rates, tiered rates, and options for expanding. Nice. Wisconsin has terrible electric options. Retro Mike. Yeah, I mean, there is definitely, if you have a unsuspecting next door neighbor who has like power to a shed or something, and your shed just happens to be next to it, and you run an extension cord to their shed without them knowing it, I'm not one to judge. All right. I had a lot to go over tonight. I probably should just be saving some of this stuff for tomorrow night, but okay. So switching gears here now. Let me go back to the main screen. Okay. So as I mentioned, I got the X card from EliPal. Kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit on this, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna get the X card, and I am going to activate the seed phrase from my Titan wallet within the EliPal app. So I put the card in the device that comes with it, typed in the seed phrase, was very careful about it. I double, triple checked it. I did it twice to make sure that I was doing it right. But when I went to go scan the card into the app, unfortunately, it came up like a completely different wallet. Didn't pull up any of my crypto at all. So I asked the question, am I doing something wrong? Is this an unintended use of this? Is there an update that needs to happen with the app? So here is what I found on the actual Titan device. So I tried recovering my seed phrase in a second wallet on the Titan. And I typed in it and it basically said, you already have this in the wallet. Do you want to overwrite or clear the first one to make a new wallet with this? And I'm like, no. That's not my intention. It's not what I want to do. So I obviously stopped it at that point. So on the Titan, that's the way you check it. If you look at like Ledger and Trezor, they actually have a specific application that you can use to actually test your seed phrase to make sure it is in fact correct. So currently I know that I could recover my seed phrase to a Titan. What I'd like to know is, could I recover it to a different device? It's a BIP39, but I'd love to test that, but I don't want to test it on anything that's online. So I don't want to test it on, say, a brand new, plus it has different coins. That's the other part. I wouldn't want to do it on anything that doesn't have the same coins. So the moral of the story, what I was trying to get to was, we were talking about NAS before, making sure you have somewhere to back up, but also test your backups. And in this particular case, nothing better than making sure you test your seed phrase backups. Do a test. Try to recover your seed phrases. Make your wallets with your seed phrases. Make sure something hasn't happened. It's really critical to make sure that in the event of an emergency where, let's just say that my Titan wallet just took a shit and was unusable. Could I recover that seed phrase somewhere else? How hard would it be? And knowing that I've tried doing it, to have the confidence that, hey, I'm fine. But think about it. You've written down a seed phrase. I'm sure you're really careful about it, but how careful were you? Could you have made a mistake? The time what you want to find out about this is before you actually have to use it. So test it. Make sure it's right. Make sure that something hasn't gone a little wonky and you're writing the letters. Make sure you can read your own writing if in fact you are recovering from something that you wrote. So just test your seed phrases. It's a good idea. All right. All set. Oh, yuck. What yuck? I'm not sure what he meant yuck about all set. Retro Mike, the X card could be using different BIP paths than the Titan. Many use sub accounts with additional sub paths. Interesting. I did not. Should have had Sunflower Mama do it. Max Voltage, did you use those seed phrases off of the comments on videos? No, I did not. FYI, they have started posting the crap on my music channel videos. Yeah, I'm sure. I always delete those. If you notice, if you see them, they don't last. Usually no more than a day or two at the most. But yeah, I delete all those. Oh, regarding issues with wallet. Yeah. I mean, it's probably fine, and I'm going to have to buy a wallet anyway, because they only sent me one card. So yeah, I can write down the seed phrase, but if I ever need to recover, I'm going to need another card anyway. And the point of having those cards is you have multiple cards so that your cards are the backup. Yes, you have a seed phrase as well, but exactly what Retro Mike just said, it looks like there may be different paths. So recovering your seed phrase to a different type of wallet may have issues. So that worries me a little bit, because let's say the Titan LEPal goes out of business. Now I want to recover my wallet to something else. Well, LEPal is out of business. I can't buy another Titan. So yeah, that worries me a little bit. I'd rather buy multiple cards than multiple Titans. Anyway, just it really has made me start to think about it. If I'm going to be using a hardware wallet, I want to make sure that I'm protected, that I'm not going to run a situation where I have a whole bunch of crypto in a wallet that I really can't afford to lose, and then it gets lost because of that. So, all right. Let me see. Weird. It says this just popped up, and it says Geek of All Trades celebrates 34 months of membership. A party ain't a party if it doesn't have a fucking goat. But I think that was from last week, but it's just popping up now in my feed, my activity feed. That's weird. Bacon, eggs, and hash, kind of like bear spray. Don't wait till a bear is charging you to test the canister. Exactly. Regarding the issues with the wallet. Got it. Yeah, I figured that out from your last comment. Well, not exactly that. Need a backup for the backup to back up your backup. Nah, not exactly. But you definitely got to make sure you test your backups. Software wallets allow you to specify the path when importing. You just need to find out what the paths are in the device and you'll be fine. Interesting. Pearl Robin says, did you hear about the kid torturing? I did hear about that. I am not going to talk about that on here. That was horrific. Absolutely horrific. ETF and be done with the seed phrase nonsense. Well, if you are in any altcoins, can't exactly go the ETF route. I do have, so I didn't just mess around. I have, in my IRA, I do have ETFs as well as MicroStrategy, which, by the way, MicroStrategy basically did a tweet, which is a leading indicator that he's going to announce tomorrow that they bought more Bitcoin. But I have both of those in my IRA. So, yeah. All right. And multi-signature for the win. Yes. I mean, that's one thing I love about the SSP wallet, the Flux wallet. It's multi-sig. Gotta have the phone, as well as the extension. So it is multi-signature. Yeah. And I've run into, and it has two seeds, has two separate seeds. I've run into problems with it because, again, test your backups. I have them. Well, I'm not going to go into that, but anyway, let's just say that it's confusing, which is good. I figured it out and I'm going to remember. I have it written down, but it's confusing. When I get knocked down, I get back up again because nobody can keep me down. Anyway, I know that's a song. I can't think of what it is, but all right. Let's see. So I went over that. I talked about that. Before I lose too many more people. It looks like it pretty much. So here's a couple of YouTubers that I really want to see you guys go sub bomb. They're good, and I know that a lot of you guys are into rental, but if you haven't subscribed to these guys, I would highly recommend it. I've definitely found their videos good. So this guy, Extreme Will Tech, he is all in on Salad. He has a lot of rigs, but he turns off and turns on. Used to be into mining. Now he's basically seemed to pretty much transition mostly into Salad. That seems to be what most of his content is on. You can see from here that he does have a warthog and jellyfish dual mine video. So yeah, I enjoy his content. It's very raw, unfiltered. I don't want to say like swears or anything like that. It's just off the cuff type of stuff. So definitely enjoy his content. So go show him some love. And then the other one, which I haven't watched as many as his videos, but I need to watch more of his videos, is AlphaMine. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of him. And he is big into setting up nodes on Octaspace. And he's been doing well with it. I need to start looking into that. I might start doing some of that as well if I find out that it's more profitable, but it's interesting content, to say the least. So, he's also figured out ways of like, if you don't have a job on Octaspace, mining in the background while also being able to set, overclocks, things like that. So definitely good content. I know Retro Mike has similar content to that, not necessarily with Octaspace specifically, but, he's done it on simple mining. Anyway, I like this guy's content, so go show him some love as well. Let's see if we can get them up over, AlphaMine over 450, and see if we can get Extreme Will Tech up to say maybe like 530 or 535. That would be cool. That would be cool. Let's see. Oh, you have to lock up 1K or 10K? So Retro Mike says, I did octanodes. It was way too many micro jobs to my liking, rendering jobs that would only run 2 to 3 minutes and then lots of idle time. This guy's saying it's been good lately. So go check out his content. Like I said, I have not had a chance to watch a lot of it, but what I have seen of AlphaMine's content has been pretty interesting. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. Obviously there's a lot of different options out there. Everybody seems to kind of get an affinity to one platform or another. Obviously I make no secret. I have an affinity to Vast because I have a lot of verified rigs that I don't want to lose. And I only have 2 unverified rigs now. So that kind of, I don't want to say locks me in. I can always change, but makes me want to keep that stuff, something in those rigs, on Vast. So, all right. Actually, one thing I did forget to mention. Did you notice that light right there? That light right there had been dead for about 2 weeks, something like that, where wrong way. I replaced it with the light that's now over there. But what this Ulanzi light was doing was the screen was stuck at okay and showing full battery. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to leave this thing unplugged for however long it takes to deplete the battery so that the display shuts off. And that happened today. So plugged it in, hit the power button, voila, it worked. So whatever caused it, I don't know, but it's back alive. So now I've got 2 of those lights. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. You like the way it looks in the background with the light on in the background? I kind of like it there. I actually originally had it up here instead of having my light over this direction on this side of me, which is kind of like, this is obviously my main light. And then this side is just kind of a fill light. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. I say that I kind of like having both of those lights back there. Let's see. All right, hang on a second. Let me catch up on chat. Let's see. So if anyone can make 8 nodes in one, it's you, Bacon, Eggs, and Hash. Let's see. It may be better with 4090s. I tried with 3060 Ti's and 3080s. Yeah, I again, check out AlphaMine's content. I don't know what he's using, but he seemed pretty happy. Retro Mike Tech is retired now. Happy retirement. Let's see. Gaming with Smokey Dan. I've always been a multitasker. Yeah, me too. Need some fine tuning, but looks good. Always need more light. Well, what would be your suggestion, all set? What do you think needs to be fine tuned? Be curious. If you don't want to do it here in the chat, shoot me a DM. That's fine too. Needed a full off power reset. Yes, exactly. But there's no way to do a reset. I sent a message to Ulanzi saying, is there any way to reset this thing? Factory reset, power reset. Is there any way to force this thing off? They're like, nope, it's just broke. Literally, like, you just got to buy another one. That was their response. Piss poor customer service, Ulanzi. Really bad. I will give them credit. They responded quickly, but responding quickly with the wrong answer, not helpful. So I figured it out myself. So I'm sure Ulanzi won't see this since it's the middle of a live stream, but Ulanzi, you need to do better. You need to do better with your customer service. Let's see. Maybe I'll cut that part out and make it a short. I keep a ring light above my head because my mom say I am her angel. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my gosh. Pyramid 7, how's it going? Welcome. Always love welcoming new people. Oh, you're off playing already. Yeah, I might be here a little while. I still got some other subjects. Or I could just save it for tomorrow night, but now I'll go through it. I have 2 more subjects to go through. Yeah, 2 more. Right? There's the one. Or maybe it's only 1 more subject. I thought I had 1 more. Or 2 more. Let me look real quick. Sorry. That one. Yeah, I guess I only have 1 more thing. Yeah, 1 more thing. All right, let me go through the chat and then I can see if you guys have any other questions. Maybe background light on top to help create golden circle. Hold on. You mean like that? Do you think that looks better? Am I not in focus? If I'm not in focus, that means this light needs to be brighter. Because that's always what happens. What did I do with my... Oh, there it is. See, I think that looks too bright. Looks very unnatural. But, cheekbones popping? Oh, because of that light, you mean? So yeah, I've got a light that's right in the middle of the room. So you think that looks better? Okay. All right. That's an easy fix. Now, my other question though is it better if this was more of a whiter light versus a softer white? Because I think right now, yeah, it's on a pretty soft white right now. Give me something now. When the biology subject, still wondering about the birds and the bees thing everyone goes on about, asking for a friend. That's just so random. So random. He's like, yeah, but I made you read it. You're like what Big Wooly used to do. Big Wooly used to try to get me to read things. Here, I'm going to go make that a little bit whiter. All right, it's a little bit less. So that looks better. I guess, yeah, I guess it adds a little bit of depth. And you got the sheen on the hair. Okay, I guess you're right. All right, well, I never turned that thing on. which drives my son nuts. Whenever he's working next to me, he always wants to, he's like, it's bad for your eyes. Like, well, I'm 57 years old and I don't need glasses. Kind of thinking my eyes are fine. Making me look like John Cena's dad. Oh, soft is fine. My point is lighting really helps the camera pick up better. Yeah, definitely. It definitely does. Yes, and good shadows. So, okay. So are we in agreement? This looks better. Here, I'll actually put up a poll. Let's see. Start poll. Okay, there we go. Because man, I'll just start filming like this then. I had no idea. What I'm looking at is like it went from, all I can see is the first selection and it says yes, and it was like 100% 0, 100 0, 100 0. Alrighty, let me see. So with 4 votes, 3 people say yes and 1 person says no. Oh, keep voting, keep voting. All right, the one last thing I wanted to go through. So I was going through my mining hardware and I have these other 3060s right now that I'm not using. And I'm kind of like, well, maybe I can make them into a salad rig. So I started looking at it. I'm like, so I got 2 motherboards. They both can fit up to a 7th gen i7 processor in them. One is a Zotac B150. Those $20, $25 motherboards that end up going for like $150 during the bull run, which I'm freaking kicking myself. I could have bought like 30 of those. I debated. I said, at least buy 10. Just buy $250 worth of these things. Because I'll end up using them anyway. And if I don't, somebody else will buy them from me for probably twice the price. Oh yeah. Oh yes, they would have. Hindsight's 2020. But I have one of those. The drawback to that one, though, is it only has 2 RAM slots. And on those older motherboards, they only accept up to 16 gigabyte RAM modules. So the maximum could go up to is 32 gig, which is fine for a regular computer. But for running salad, you really want to have 64. And so, yeah, unfortunately, that one probably won't work out very well. Unless I decide I'm just going to put a 3060 Ti in it. A 3060 Ti with 32 gigs of RAM would run okay. It's just a matter of whether the demand would be there or not. And I'm not going to spend about $100 on a processor, $25 on a cooler, although I may try to run it with the same cooler because those i7s were only like 65 watts. So I could probably still run the standard. I at least try running it on the standard processor. That's probably what I would do. So don't worry about the cooler. But I would need to buy RAM, 2 16 gig sticks. So let's say, I don't know, $50, something like that. So now we're up to $150. And then what was the other thing I needed to buy? Oh, drive. Because the drive I have is not big enough. It would need to be at least like a 1 terabyte drive. So again, you're looking at about another $50. So basically it's $200 to upgrade these things. The one, like I said, the B150, do I really want to put that kind of money in an existing motherboard, or do I just bite the bullet and move up to more current technology and just sell those motherboards? So kind of, at least with the Zotac B550, leaning towards that. I have a Z270 motherboard. It's a Gigabyte Z270P-D3 that actually Panda gave me. Actually sent it to me. Long story with that. He sent it to me for not payment, but thanks. But anyway, that one does have 4 RAM slots, so I could put up to 64 in there. That would not be a problem. It still only has PCIe 3.0, but it is an X16 slot. So I would need to buy the same CPU, drive, and RAM. So it's still going to be like $200 to upgrade. But that one might actually work. So I'm debating on whether just to do that one kind of as a fun little project. Unfortunately, I don't have, and I probably should just look on eBay. Probably somebody's already commented saying, look on eBay. I could probably find one of those processors for cheaper. And again, i7s, they don't have pins on the processor. It's in the slot. So I'm careful with it. I'll make sure I don't bend any pins, but the processors typically are a little bit more robust. You don't have to worry about getting a processor with bent pins like you do with the older AMD processors. Let's see. Looking to see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, ask the boss. I mean, I could definitely warm up this light and that light. I just thought the cooler looked a little bit better, but that's just me. But yeah, I could definitely warm up both lights. Always listen to the universe when she's speaking. About the i7s, that is. Yes, touched by the furry one. Yes, I was touched by the furry one. Not literally, though. Not literally. I'll tell you a little story. I don't think he'll mind. So if you remember back when, so this would be back in the beginning of 2022 when, they were going to stop paying out, and I forget, 1559, I think was the EIP, the number for the EIP. But anyway, it was stopping paying fees to the miners. And the miners were livid, absolutely livid. Like, what the hell? So, there was a comment made, a bunch of comments made. One of the comments that was made by people on the Ethereum core devs basically were like, why should we? Why should we care about the miners? That shouldn't change what we do. Like, well, you can't live without the miners. So then the question was asked to Micah, who was also part of the core devs committee. And he was asked, so at what point would you have to start paying attention to the miners if there was a consolidation of hash rate? And he said, yeah, probably when the miners got to 40% consolidated hash rate. Yeah, we'd have to really start looking at, we would really have to evaluate how we were going to move forward, is what he said. So it was a veiled threat, as in we'll rush to proof of stake, or you could view it as we'll have to concede something to the miners. So we viewed it as a veiled threat. And Panda heard that, and he was pissed as hell and decided, that's it, we're going to do this. And basically made everybody go to Ethermine. Go to their pool on this day. And it lasted all about 2 or 3 days. He was getting threats. A lot of things were happening. And I'm not saying threats from the core dev community. You got to remember, all the investors have a ton of power within Ethereum. If we even go back even further to when, remember, they were going to go to ProgPow. They were all lined up to go to ProgPow. And the investors said, are you freaking kidding me? No, absolutely not. Because there were agreements made with ASIC manufacturers at that point. So there's a lot of money in that. And they said, nope, we're not changing. Literally, they were ready to flip the switch. And then they went, nope, just kidding. So yeah, there's a lot of backhanded, backroom type stuff that goes on with Ethereum, which is why I don't particularly like the project. So anyway, going back to Panda, he was getting threats and getting a lot of pressure. And I just reached out to him and said, are you okay? I know what's going on, because at that point, I was out of work and I was very in line with everything was going on. I was talking to Tim Biko and Micah at least once a week at that point. And so I kind of knew what was happening. And anyway, Bits Be Trippin', BBT, basically requested for Panda to actually call it all off. So he did. But it didn't stop things. So anyway, bottom line is I reached out, wanted to know how he was doing. I was worried about him, and he appreciated it a lot, evidently. And I had no idea. So anyway, that's when I got the motherboard. So it was a small token of his appreciation, which I felt like was a huge token. So little story there, story time with Max. Let's see. He's of the mindset that BTC is overpaying for security. That's who's advocating for Bitcoin. Let me see. BTC is turning into that. Today, Dennis Porter posted that he thinks there should be less hash rate on Bitcoin, and it would be good if the majority of miners capitulated. It's the law of supply and demand. It's human nature, absolute human nature. So I've told you guys some Uber stories before. This is one of the Uber stories. Uber, when you first started, was like, oh my God, this is awesome. You're making so much for doing so little. And then as time went on, Uber lowered the rates, and then lowered the rates more, and then lowered the rates more. So basically you have the guys who first started out that were going, oh my God, I don't make anything at this. It's not even worth it. And then you have the new guys coming in going, wow, this is awesome. I'm making money with my car. I'm basically turning my car into cash, and this is awesome. It's helping me make my payments. It's helping me basically make ends meet. So you have two different, so same thing here is if you have brand new miners that are coming in and going, oh my gosh, I'm making all this money with all this Bitcoin with this miner. And to people that have been in it for 4 years or 8 years, they're going, man, I'm making almost nothing now. Is it even worth it anymore? So you're always going to have that. Gaming with Smokey Dan. That is not how it worked. That is not how it worked. At all. At all. Anyway, drink up, everybody. Anyway, now I understand why you're drinking so much. This is back when Panda wasn't anywhere near as big as he is now. I think he was over 100,000 at that point. He might have still been under 100,000. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look beginning of 2022 and see how many subscribers he had at that point. Hide the pain. Alrighty. So anyway, so yeah, I'm debating whether to maybe just do it on that motherboard just for fun. Plus it will make money. Not worried about that, but, I don't know. I'll have to double check. Like, what would it be if I bought like the cheapest, even if it's a 4-core, AM5 chip with a new AM5 motherboard, with, DDR5, see where that ends up. Because it's getting to the point now where I think the older tech is probably going to start becoming, especially Gen 7s. Yeah, you're not getting any deals on no unless you're buying it. So I'll have to look on eBay. That's really what I'll have to do. Let me go look on eBay, see what I can find, and go from there. Because I'm thinking I'll be able to get. I'm hoping if I can get it for $120, the memory, the CPU, and a drive, which maybe I can get a drive from Brandon, possibly. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking about doing at some point. But yeah, I have, like I said, I've got a bunch of content that I've recorded. I got to start kind of putting the finishing touches on a bunch of it. I want to finish up, the NAS video. I've got to finish up the 5060 Ti video. I've got the install part all done. I just got to do the intro and the outro and then edit it. I know I have another video. Oh, the X card video. I got to finish that. Hopefully with this information, I'll be able to, I will be able to, finish that up too. So I don't know. One last thing, and then and if there's any other, oh, you know what? Gaming with Smokey Dan, you just reminded me of something. So that's the other one I thought of. So right now I still have an ETCMC node downstairs running on one of the small form factors. Well, when I opened up the one for the NAS, it really started making me think, I could run a card off of this because it's PCIe 3. It only has 2 slots for memory though. So again, I think I'd probably run into the same problem. I'd only be able to max out at 32 gig. Oh, you know what? I take that back. No, that thing has 4 slots. So I could get up to 64 on that one. But I would not be able to fit it in the slot. I'd have to get a ribbon cable. But I know what I'd order. I've ordered it in the past. It's a ribbon cable with like a cage, and it's got a magnet on the bottom of the cage. I use it for my T7810s. And if I take the top off of the HP small form factor, I then have that same platform on the PSU. So I just can stick it to that and then have the actual ribbon cable just go right into it. So it would work really, really well. So, but yeah, I will look up pre-built PCs as well. Those are the type of people who can't stand not being in control as well as having the biggest advantage over everyone else. Retro Mike. Smokey Dan. Yep, he just wants people to hold and price go up for nobody to actually use BTC. It's sad. Yeah. I really don't know much about him. I just met him briefly because of the poker tournament. Not this past mining disrupt, but the one before that. There was a poker tournament. I made it to the final table. It was for charity, so nobody won anything except for a trophy or something. But I finished 5th at the final table. Honestly, of the final 5, it was completely random because they ran out of time on the boat. So they literally started, crazy increasing the small blind and the big blind. And when they did it, I was in the big blind. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I had a decent hand the previous one. If I had known that was going to happen, I would have gone all in on the previous hand. Probably would have been knocked out at that point, but I would have gone all in. It was a decent hand. But anyway, it is what it is. But I was just happy to make it to the final table. But that was the time where I met Dennis Porter. Like I said, very briefly. Rizzo, welcome. We're almost done. I've been on for 2 hours. 2 hours. God, it does not feel like 2 hours. Probably feels like 2 hours to you guys, but again, reminder, don't forget, sub bomb. Let's see what we got. It says 430 subscribers here. Let's see if we got any people to subscribe. 431. Come on, people. Come on. Maybe you guys are already subscribed. Yeah, that's probably it. Or not. Come on. It's literally simple. Just go to this guy's channel and click sub. Sub. These guys don't even know me. So it like literally, I think their channels are cool and I try to pay it forward as much as I can. Learn from the best. All right, let's see. He was at 515. Let's see. Nobody subscribed to Extreme Will Tech. Come on, people. Come on. Is it too much to ask? And for those people that came in late, I talked about this earlier, but there is if you do not have a Kraken account, now is a great time to open one up. $75 in the app. This is my Billy Mays routine. But you can make $75. I can make $75. This is the exchange I use. I would not promote anything that I do not use. So that's why I'm promoting it. It's $75. It's only for a week. It's usually $50. So take advantage of it. I know I'm going to have my wife sign up for one. No question. So yeah. Scan the QR code or use that referral code. It's also in the description. So you can check that out as well. So all you have to do is deposit $200 and trade $200 of crypto. That's it. That's all. Within the first 30 days, of course. First 30 days. After you make qualifying deposit and trade, you and your friend will each get $75. Or you and Max Voltage. I would like to be your friend. Okay. Any question? You're already subbed. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I figured of any of the groups of people, I figured this one would be you guys would be the people. You're our number one. Well, it's better than being your number two. That's for sure. Let's see. Pyramid 7 did. Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Well, Wednesdays, I get to be the Dom. Who's the Dom? Send out the Kraken! Good movie. Very good movie. I have no friends. I have acquaintances. Is that a quote from a movie? I mean, it may be what you're saying, but you guys are my friends. But yeah, I don't really have probably the last person I saw in person that wasn't work was actually Integra guy. And I mean like actually visiting. Before that was family and friends at my dad's funeral. And probably before that would probably be, I might have even been Mining Disrupt at that point. Yeah, that would be my guess. Anyway. This is my life, YouTube and work, which I enjoy. I just need to put out more content instead of just thinking about the content. But I'm working on that. Definitely working on that. Alrighty, guys. Well, appreciate you guys all being here, sticking it out with me for 2 hours. And I will be here again tomorrow night. Not sure what I'm going to talk about tomorrow night, but maybe it'll just be an AMA. Maybe we'll have some fun times because maybe the market will pick up tomorrow. We shall see. And in the meantime, it'll be 22 hours. Well, about 22 hours. A little under 22 hours until my next live stream. So, guys, have a good night. Appreciate you guys all. And as always, no tabs were harmed in the making of this live stream. Have a good one, everybody.